It's time for a serious discussion about President Donald Trump's mean tweets concerning journalists. This is an important issue to every single person in America who has nothing better to do or works in the news media or has nothing better to do but work in the news media. That leaves approximately 326 million people who don't give a rat's caboose or a hill of beans or even a steaming pile of warmed over macaroni and cheese. Who tweets what about mainstream journalists? Still, it's an important issue. I forget why. Some recent mean tweets from the president regarded Mika Brzezinski, who seems to do something on television somewhere. Trump's tweets implied that Mika's a dishonest gas bag with a lousy facelift and the brains of a scooped-out melon that didn't even have brains before it was scooped out because it was a melon, to put it in my own words. The tweets sent shockwaves of horror from the famous 30 Rock building where NBC is located all the way to the famous 30 Rock building where NBC is located and where many people who work with Mika were forced to pretend to care whether her feelings were hurt before turning away from her and rolling their eyes and silently mouthing the words, "Serves her right." The mean Trump tweets come after 6 months of Mika and her co-host and husband, Joe Scarborough, continually slinging insults at the president, including calling him a thug, an ass, and a mental defective. So, reading the tweets was kind of like watching a man smacking a loudmouth woman who just won't stop screaming at him. Which, of course, you should never do. Although sometimes, so help me, you just want it. But that would be wrong. Although just once I'd like. But seriously, there is never any reason to smack a woman. Well, there might be a reason, but still, it's not something you should ever do, which is going to be awfully tough on Joe Scarborough during the days and weeks and months and seemingly endless years of marriage ahead. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, Donald Trump's tweets. There was another mean Trump tweet that sent shockwaves all through journalism land, from Fantasy Lake, where the unicorns hold impeachment hearings, to fake news forest, where the Booga Boogas collude with the Russians. In this tweet, Trump depicted himself putting a body slam on a wrestler whose face had been replaced by the CNN logo. This tweet immediately caused every single American who watches CNN to turn to the other two with a look of dismay. Many commentators said this tweet would inspire violence against mainstream journalists, as if there were still people who needed to be inspired to hate mainstream journalists. Other commentators have been expressing the opinion that Trump's mean tweets against the press will spell the end of the Trump administration. They don't seem to understand that after 20 years of being lied to and insulted by the elite mouthpieces of powerful media corporations, America's actually elected Trump to send the press a message. For reasons of decency, I can't repeat the message on the air. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, we are back after a long Klavanless weekend of darkness and despair and the 4th of July, and we are here in Cisco, Texas, and I've got a large audience today. Here's what you have to do. It's the mailbag day, so when I say it's the mailbag day, everybody has to give a big cheer so people pretend to care, okay? And it's mailbag day. That was great. That was great. Now even I care. And you may say, what are you doing in Cisco, Texas? And what I am not doing is standing online at the post office. And the reason is stamps.com. And every time I say this, I talk about the fact that I just hate to stand online. And every time I talk about that, somebody writes on in and says it's in line, not online, because they're not from New York. In New York, you stand online, although I guess if you have a phone, you can be in line and online at the same time. But I hate to do both. So I get on stamps.com, where you can do everything you do at the post office, except you can do it on your computer. So you don't have to stop everything, drive to the post office, hope that it's open, stand online, and deal with actual human beings. You do it right off your computer. You can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail using your own computer and printer. You just put the envelope in the printer, comes out with a stamp. They'll send you a digital scale so you can automatically calculate the exact postage, and stamps.com will even help you decide the best class of mail based on your needs, so there's no need to lease an expensive postage meter. Right now, you can enjoy the stamps.com Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale without long-term commitments. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Klavan. That is K-L-A-V as in Victor, A-N. Stamps.com, and then enter Klavan. Stamps.com. You will never have to go to the post office again. So what am I doing in Texas? Nobody seems to know, but we came down here yesterday. We spent the 4th of July, an excellent 4th of July, with Jeremy Boring, who, as you know, is the God King of the Daily Wire. We call him. We don't call him the God King because he has anything to do with God. We just call him the God King because he asked us to please call him the God King of the Daily Wire. So that's, yeah. So, but he was celebrating his 8th anniversary and his high school reunion. And so we went to the bustling town of Slayton, Texas. Population, about 4,000 people, and it was beautiful, and the people were great, and we set off fireworks, which, as a New Yorker, a guy who lives in cities, I've never really done before. So, Jeremy and his friends just went out in a field and set up. It was very dramatic because a storm was coming in across, of course, this open plain. And so this red dust, this wall of red dust was blowing toward us. And they started setting off these fireworks. And I was there with Michael Knowles and Jonathan Hay, who is, you have some new fancy title now. You're the Director of Productions. Director of Production. Let me tell you how smart our Director of Production is. We're setting off these fireworks, right? And I said, after a while, the three of us are watching, Knowles and Hay and I are watching, and yeah, I said, I would like to set off some fireworks. This looks like fun, and I've never done it before. So I walked out into the field and joined Jeremy, and I had a little lighter that I'd been using for a cigar, and so I pressed the lighter and I set off a firework. And Knowles said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to use my cigar. So Knowles stepped up and he touched his cigar to the fireworks. And Jay Hay then says, I'm going to do it with my cigar in my mouth. Okay, so these things are taking off. You got to understand, these things are taking off, and first of all, the wind is keeping them low, so they're exploding right over our heads. I mean, they're just going out, and there's storm is coming in, the lightning is going across, and there's Jay Hay with his cigar leaning into the fireworks. And I was thinking, if this thing goes off and blows his brains out, will it make him smarter or dumber? I don't know how you're getting to, but he did live, and we all had a great, great time, great 4th of July. And the only thing I will say is we found out later that there had been actually 2 experiences, because I had my wife there, and Knowles had his fiancée, and there were other ladies from the city, from L.A., and they were absolutely terrified. We didn't know this. The sparks were raining down on them, and then the lightning was coming across, and then, they were watching their husbands and boyfriends try to widow them, and they just and in the morning, I got a full report on exactly how frightening it had been from my wife, but the boys had a good time, and all the Texans had a good time. None of the Texan ladies were afraid. Only the LA ladies were afraid, so I guess it wasn't as frightening as all that. So there's a lot to talk about today, and there's a lot of news, and the thing is, I don't even know if we should talk about it. I mean, there's this North Korea tested an intercontinental ballistic missile, and everybody's panicking about that. They're still a long way from making a nuclear weapon that can fit on the missile. And in fact, when they shoot these things off, they don't actually shoot them for distance. They shoot them up. They do this thing called lofting, so it goes up into the air really high, almost into orbit, and then comes down, and it went about 700 miles or something like this. But they say this could reach Alaska. So now our president has to figure out what he's going to do about this. So this is an important thing. The other thing, by the way, if you're here in Texas, one of the things about Texas is the best run state in the union. Is that fair? They only let the legislature meet like every 2 years or something like this. What a brilliant idea. What a brilliant idea. I mean, I hope that was a compromise between like 5 years and no years, and you said finally let them meet 2 years. And so they don't have, there's no tax, there's no income tax, there's property taxes, but there's no income tax. Everybody seems to be able to own property, and things are, people are left alone and all this stuff, as opposed to California, which is just falling off. There are 3 blue states now, New Jersey, Illinois, and Connecticut. They're going bust. And in New Jersey, we know they're going bust because they closed the beaches for everyone but the governor. So we know that they're going broke. But Texas is really run. So there's all this news out there, and the news is talking about none of it. The news is talking about Donald Trump's mean tweets. Donald Trump's mean tweets, and now the actual reporters, the press, has started to bully innocent civilians over Trump's tweets, okay? So Trump sent out this tweet about Mika Brzezinski, and it was rough and all. I have to tell you, to begin with, there's a polite reaction you're supposed to have to Trump's tweets. It goes like this. I don't agree with Donald Trump making these tweets, you know. It lowers the office of the presidency, but he's got a point. You know, that's kind of what people say. I love his tweets. I think this is why I want Donald Trump in Washington. These people stink. The media, they hate. You know, one of the things is when you actually get out of L.A. Now, the people in L.A. are actually very nice. It actually, oddly enough, it's a very lovely city. But when you get out of L.A., when you get out into America, people are really, they're wonderful. They're just so nice to you, and they're so welcoming, and they're so hospitable, and they'll help you. If you break down on the side of the road, people, you know, will surround you and stop and all this stuff. And these are the people the media has been insulting for 16 years. You know, you elected George W. Bush. He's a Nazi. George W. Bush is a Nazi. Obama, you know, he's a saint, and he disagrees with everything you think, and he thinks you're clinging to your Bibles and guns. He's a saint. Now, Donald Trump, you say, what were you thinking when you sent Donald Trump to the White House? I mean, they have just insulted and insulted and insulted people. And ordinary people don't have a voice like that. They don't have NBC, which is broadcasting to 20 million people. They don't have CBS broadcasting to 30 million people. They have a vote. They have a vote. They sent this guy to Washington to tweet mean tweets at you, to get back at you for 20 years of insulting them. So I actually have no problem with it at all. So now he sends out this, he retweets a tweet that was a wrestling match that he had been in, a stunt he had been in, and he's body slammed this guy, and instead of the face on the guy, it had the CNN logo. So it was Trump body slamming CNN. Some guy did this on, what is it, Reddit? He put it out on Reddit. So, and Trump, you know, he's just retweeting stuff, and he thought it was funny, and he sends it out. Now, I want to give you a sample, just a sample of how the press reacted to what, after all, is a joke, right? I mean, it's a joke. Ha, ha, ha. Donald Trump body slams CNN. Here is Carl Bernstein, who used to be a journalist back in the day, right? He was kind of the weak link in the Watergate team. It was Woodward who went on and actually showed himself to be a journalist. Even in the movie All the President's Men, Carl Bernstein is kind of the weak link. Here is his reaction. Listen for a little bit of self-seriousness and, you know, pomposity.
First, it's not just anti-CNN, it's anti-freedom of the press, it's anti-freedom of speech. It is a definitive statement by the President of the United States. And it also goes to the question that many military leaders in this questions are asked questions raised by military leaders in this country now, by the intelligence community, by people in Congress about the stability of the President of the United States. This is an index of his state of mind visually. It's very disturbing. There's nothing lighthearted about it whatsoever. It is an incitement. It is definitive, as I say, in the way this president views a free press and its exercise under the First Amendment to the Constitution.
Way to take a joke, Carl. I mean, it's like, it's the end of the Constitution, this joke, because it's them, you know, it's not Kathy Griffin holding up the president's severed head, which is, that's just a joke. This is an attack on them, so this matters. This is very, very serious stuff. I just want to play one more sample of this. Is Chuck Todd is interviewing Tom Price, right? Tom Price is the director of Health and Human Services, so he's like the guy, he is the guy in the news because the Republicans are debating their Senate health bill, so he is the guy you want to have on your show. This is a coup. He's on with Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd has got the guy all America wants to hear what's going to happen to our health care. How is this going to go forward? And this is what Chuck Todd is asking.
I'm just asking you as a father, if your son tweeted about a woman like that, what would you say to him?
Chuck, you know, this is really remarkable. You got incredible challenges across this nation, incredible challenges around the world. The challenge that I've been given is to address the health care issues. And your program, a program with the incredible history of Meet the Press, and that's what you want to talk about? Let me just suggest to you that the American people want to talk about the challenges.
Let me just suggest to you that the American people want... Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, you're blaming me for what the President of the United States has spent his entire week focused on?
No. Listen to me. With all due respect, the American people are concerned about a health care system that is not providing choices, where premiums are going up, where there are insurance companies vacating markets all across this land, and that's what they want us to concentrate on. That's what they want us to fix.
So poor Tom Price is trying to give Chuck Todd the news. He's trying to talk to him about healthcare. He's trying to talk to him about the important issues of the day. But we got to get to this tweet. Would you let your son or daughter send out a tweet like this? If this were your son or daughter, it's an amazing kind of self-importance. So then CNN does the unbelievable. They start to track down the little nerd who puts this thing up on Reddit, okay? And he's been putting up all kinds of, he's been putting up all kinds of anti-Semitic tweets and bigoted tweets and all that. You see some little crazy computer guy putting up this stuff. Trump doesn't know who this is, right? Trump has no clue who this is. He just saw a funny tweet where he body slams CNN and he sends it out. CNN tracks the guy down, threatens to expose him, and then the guy apologizes. He's terrified, right? He's getting threats, he's getting death threats. He takes down the post, and he takes down all his posts, and he puts out this fulsome apology. I mean, it's thuggery of the first. I mean, remember Joe the Plumber? Does anybody still remember Joe the Plumber? Joe the Plumber had the temerity to step up to Barack Obama, the precious, and say to him, what's all this spreading, money around? What's all this socialism stuff? And Obama gave it away. He gave away that he actually was a socialist. He said spreading the wealth around is good for everybody. And so the press ganged up on Joe the Plumber. And of course, we on the right kind of, we didn't overreact to it. We reacted wrongly to it by making Joe the Plumber into a spokesman or putting him on the media. That wasn't the point. The point was not that he was a media personality. The point was they took this guy, a plumber, and exposed his whole life for asking a candidate for president a question. So here's a guy who puts out funny tweets and memes on the air, and CNN tracks him down, and they wangle this apology, and then they publish a threat. They say CNN is not publishing this guy's name because he is a private citizen who has issued an extensive statement of apology, showed his remorse by saying he has taken down all his offending posts, and because he said he is not going to repeat this ugly behavior on social media again. CNN reserves the right to publish his identity should any of that change. Okay, this is it. It's like a nice meme you've got there. Be a shame if anything happened to it. Now I have to show you how this was reported on CNN. Alison Camerata again. She thinks this is a happy ending. She thinks that this is what a wonderful thing that we didn't expose his name and he apologized. It's all good. Isn't this lovely? You got to listen to this.
And then here comes the remarkable part. He apologized. Mm-hmm. He apologized for having done this. How often do you hear someone who creates a video that goes viral then say this? This is what he told CNN. I would like to apologize for the posts made that were racist, bigoted, and anti-Semitic. These are the other posts that were on his account. I am in no way this kind of person. I would never support any kind of violence or actions against others simply for what they believe in, nor would I carry out any violence against anyone based upon that or support anyone who did. He went on. He was so...
But then why is there so much stuff on his account?
He deleted it.
But why was it there in the first place?
Because, in his apology, he says, he thought that these things were sort of funny. He liked getting a rise out of people online.
But they were so obvious.
He also went on to say that he had become addicted to the hate. Addicted to the ginning up of people, because this is what happens. He has
a medical condition.
Honestly, he has the reason that I think this is so notable, Crystal, is because this is a very full-throated, I think, genuine, honest apology. He has also asked that we not reveal his name or whereabouts, and we at CNN are honoring that because he's apologized, and he thinks that he would then be in danger and at risk if other people knew his name. We get it. We understand that. So I don't know. I just think that this is just a very interesting addendum to this whole story.
It was certainly not the outcome I would have thought once we tracked him down. And I think it's actually a nice thing. But
that's a nice thing. It's a nice thing. We blackmailed and bullied this guy into silence and apology. He's cringing on the floor. He's CNN. Listen, I got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube, but the mailbag is coming up. So you got to come over to thedailywire.com. You can hear it there, or you could subscribe for a lousy it's still a lousy $8 a month, right? Till when? July 10th? Yeah. July 10th, the prices go up to, I think, $15,000 a minute, isn't it? And then, so you want to get in, but they won't go up if you've already subscribed. So subscribe. If you subscribe annually, you get Ben Shapiro's new book, and you can ask questions on the mailbag. So come on over to thedailywire.com.